Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to all the students. Welcome back to our live virtual revisionary classes. And I hope you all have been revising at home continuously. And the more you revise, the more you will be able to recall in your exam. So sit upright with your books, notebooks, and pen in your hand, and we'll begin this session. I hope, yeah. So I can see some students here. Great. Good morning. Good morning, Pooja. Good morning, Mujahid. So let's start. So today, the first chapter that we will be revising is chapter number 6, that is audit documentation. Um, so the one thing we need to remember about this chapter, it's like chota packet bada dhamaka, which means chapter is very small. Chapter is very easy, but chapter is very important and very, very scoring. So we will not avoid even a single sentence from the small chapter. Okay. You cannot take it very, very like, okay, such a small chapter. No, no. The every 5-6 pages of this chapter, even if it's like 10 pages, all 10 pages are extremely important, very, very scoring. Okay. Very scoring and very easy. So this essay number 560 that we are studying today, sorry, 560, audit documentation 230. The base of it, that it is for the protection of the auditor. It is for the protection of the auditor that whatever we do in the audit, okay, whatever we do, whatever we find, whatever we analyze, whatever we perform, and whatever we conclude, and whatever we report, everything should be part of a file, that is audit documentation. It's also sometimes called as audit working papers. It's also called as audit working papers or simply working papers. Okay. So audit working papers, audit documentation is something that auditor accumulates during the course of audit. And it can be as simple as a mail also. So if you have had some mail interaction, email interaction, you can even print that out and keep that as a audit documentation. If you have yourself done some audit checklist, that is also documentation. If you have received some copy of lease agreement or hire purchase agreement from the client, that also is audit documentation. If I've calculated some ratios, current ratio, debt equity ratio, that is also documentation. If I have made audit plan, that is also documentation. I have made audit program, that is also documentation. I have received written representation from the management, that is also documentation. So anything during the course of audit that you acquire, that you retain, and that you create, and that you conclude, and that you report, all of this form audit documentation. Now, we will be revising the whole chapter through the medium of the questions today. So let's start with the questions. The first question. During an audit of M&T Limited, CA Shubh discovers an issue with stock valuation. To ensure accuracy and reliability of his observation, CA Shubh needs to document the audit procedures performed, evidence collected, his observations, everything should be documented. In this situation, how does audit documentation help CA Shubh to support his findings in audit? Now, you will feel in this question as if you have to write on your own, but that is the trick. You have to see how does audit documentation help. So this will be basically talking about, let's break down the question. Benefits of audit documentation. How does audit documentation benefit CA Shubh? Or what is the purpose of audit documentation? Now, if you'll remember your chapter correctly, you'll realize, oh, there is a direct answer for purpose of audit documentation. The question might look like that you have to draft the answer on your own, but is actually a direct question. Which means these questions, if you remember and if you have studied the chapter, you are able to answer. Where is the trick here? Where is the effort we have to put? We have to understand the question. Understand what the question is asking for. So many times, one of the important things that happens during exam when you're reading a question is that, oh, I knew the answer. I didn't know that for this question I had to give this answer. Many students sometimes, many students say this, ma'am, मुझे answer तो आता था, मुझे ये नहीं पता था इस question में ये answer लिखना था. And that is the key. And that is why Q&A practice is important. It is not just important that you know the answer. You should also know that in which question you have to write that answer. And that is why you have to, practice a lot of questions so that you understand that किस question में किस answer की demand होती है. In which kind of question, which kind of answer is demanded. Okay? So that is why this, if you want to avoid this kind of things, how do we do it? Even if the chapter is easy, even if the answer is easy, we have to see how it can be asked in the question. So how did we decode this question? That all this information was extra. Okay. Did you actually have to write any answer about stock valuation? Did you have to actually write any answer about evidence collection, audit procedures? Did you have to write anything about this? No, we didn't have to write anything about the first three lines. Even if these lines didn't exist and the question was directly that how can audit documentation, instead of CA Shubit wrote, how does audit documentation help any CA support his findings in accordance with essays? Then also the answer would be same, right? And that is what we need to learn to identify. And that is the most important skill we need to develop. So we should be able to memorize things, but we should also have the skill to find and break down a question and what the question is asking from me so that you write the correct answer. So the answer is very simple, that how we have to actually write purpose of audit documentation. And of course, we have to identify that this is an essay 230 question. Okay. So how do we write? So answer is quite simple. You can start with mentioning essay 230 plus details of the case. So you can write the same sentence on the top that during the audit, CA Shub found this to ensure accuracy, reliability. He has performed audit procedure. He has gotten evidence. You will write the exact same thing. Then you can convert this sentence question into a sentence. Audit documentation can help CA Shub to support his findings in audit in accordance with essay number 230 because its key purposes or the key benefits of audit documentation are. That's it. So you started the case and then connect it with answer. Connect with theory answer. So what are we going to do? So what are the benefits or what are the purpose of audit documentation? So we'll divide the answer into two parts. One is engagement team and another is record. So engagement team, it helps in three ways. Okay, engagement team, it helps in three ways. It helps the engagement team to plan and perform the audit properly. Then it helps the members of the engagement team indirect and supervise the work properly and discharge their responsibilities properly. Third, it helps engagement team to be accountable for their work. If everyone has documented their work, we'll be able to identify. So if I've made an engagement team that has Om, that has Kavisha, that has Mujahid in it, So 3 people are doing the job. So every day when Kavisha is making the documentation, she's checking data. She's making data's documentation. Every day Mujahid is checking creditors. He's making creditors documentation. And Om is checking all the BRS, bank reconciliation statements. So he's making that documentation. If after 3 months we find some problem in creditors, we can easily find that the work was done by Mujahid. Or if we find a problem in, let's say, BRS, we can easily know that it was done by Om, right? That is called as creating accountability. So if audit documentation is there, you can make people accountable for their work. Then what are the advantages regarding record? It helps create record for future audits. So let's say that Pooja has joined a CA firm newly and she has been told that from this year you have to do the audit of M&T Limited. Okay. So M&T Limited, she's like, how do I start? What to do? I don't even know the company. What will you do, Pooja? The first thing you will do is take out the file of previous year and study it, right? Right or wrong? What is the first thing you will do? You'll take out file and the whole audit documentation of the previous year and you study it. So it means these audit documentations are very important for any future audits that can help her do her job better. So record helps in doing future audits. Then record helps in inspections. If anyone wants to check the work we have done, they can help in inspections. So inspections can be mainly 2 types, internal and external. Internal can be your engagement quality as per SQC, engagement quality control review or general inspections. And this external can be as per legal and regulatory requirements. Okay. So see, the answer became so easy. What is the purpose of audit documentation? So it helps two things. It helps engagement team. It helps engagement team and it helps in creation of record. How does it help engagement team? It helps them to plan and perform the audit. It helps in direction, supervision, and discharge of duties and responsibilities. It helps them make accountable for work. Second, it helps in record. Okay, this is first, this is second. How does it help in record? It helps in future audits. It helps in inspection. How does it help in inspection? It helps in internal inspections as per SQC 1, in EQCR and inspection. You must have studied engagement quality control review. Little bit you'll study in chapter 11 also. A little bit you must have studied in chapter 11 also and chapter 1 and 2 also. And then external like legal and regulatory. Okay. Engagement quality control review. That's it. Everyone clear with the answer? Can you remember with this trick? So one of the good ways to learn any theory is to find common points in the whole answer. So the whole answer has 6 points. But now I am remembering 2 points, engagement team and record. By remembering engagement team, I'm remembering 3 points. By remembering record, I'm remembering 3 points. So whenever you try to learn any theory, try to divide into some common point heads. Okay. That's it. If you'll see the answer now, let's see. During the audit of M&T Limited, CA Shubh identifies an issue with stock valuation. Again, you're reporting the case, okay? To ensure the accuracy and reliability of his observations, it is crucial for him to document the audit procedures performed, the evidence obtained, and his findings. This is same from question, okay? This is same from question. Audit documentation plays a key vital role in supporting CA Shubham's findings in accordance with essay. So you can write here essay 230. Absolutely, you can write the essay number 230, not a problem. In fact, it's good if you write it, okay? Its key purposes include assisting an engagement team to plan and perform the audit properly, assisting the members of the engagement team to direct and supervise audit work to discharge their review responsibility, enabling the engagement team to be accountable for their work, retaining a record of matters for continuing significance to future audits, enabling the quality of audit, quality control and inspections as per SQC1, and external inspections as per legal regulatory. Done, students? Everyone is clear, I hope. So this is how we can remember. This is how we have to break down a question and identify which answer we have to write. Okay. Next, we'll come to the next question. So what does the next question say? It says, CA Tanuj, the auditor of Kiran Limited, completed the audit work. Okay, work is finished already. And audit report is also issued on 18th August 2024. All right. For financial year 31st March. During the final assembly of the audit file, he discarded some supporting schedule as same were outdated and corrected cross-referencing errors of working papers. No new audit conclusions were drawn. The final audit file was assembled on 10th of October 2024. On the basis of standards of auditing regarding audit documentation, comment on the action taken by CA Tanuj. So here you have to do a little bit of drafting, but it is actually from a direct point in essay 230, but it's not a point-wise answer. Okay, just remember this. So what is given here? What information we have? We know that audit report is finished. Okay, we know that now post audit work is going on. Okay, post audit work is going on. What is post audit work? So, Om, who all were our teammates? Om, Mujahid, and Kavisha are our engagement team members. Okay. So, now they have finished the audit. But do you think after audit also, there might be work regarding finishing the file and bringing it all together and assembling it and properly filing it and punching it and creating proper folders? Very obviously, it's a human work, right? So you have done the work for 1 year. Many team members have worked on it. Now, after audit is done, we have to neatly put them together, right or wrong? Okay. So we have to neatly put everything together as audit file, right? Now, this is what CA Tanuj is doing. He is doing assembly of the file. He is not adding anything new to the file. He is just assembling everything together in a neat way so that in future you can properly refer to it. Okay. So he has removed, discarded means removed. He has removed some supporting schedules as they were outdated. Outdated means it is possible that some updated schedules were already made during the audit and these outdated schedules were initially made but they were not useful later on. So some supporting schedules he has discarded and he has corrected some cross-referencing error. What is a cross-referencing? Cross-referencing means suppose I am checking inventory register. Can this register, I'm checking it for closing stock. Okay. Can this also be cross-referenced with production, debtor, creditor? Can it be cross-referenced? The information that we find in inventory register can also be cross-referenced to information that we found during the audit of debtor, creditor, production. So that is why when an audit file is assembled, you can cross-reference, okay? Now, what is clarified? No new conclusions, audit conclusions were drawn. After giving audit report, can you have new audit conclusions? After giving audit report, can you have new audit conclusions? Tell me quickly, students. No, because audit is already finished. So no new audit conclusions were drawn and final audit file was assembled on 10th October 2024. Within how many days should we assemble the file? As per SA 230 and SQC1, assembly should be done within 60 days. Now tell me, between 18th August 2024 to 10th October 2024. Are 60 days finished? Are 60 days finished? Are 60 days completed? Quickly tell me, students. No. So 18th August, 18th September, 18th October. Even if you count 31st September, August and all, there are still some days left. So 60 days are not yet expired. So anything done by CA Tanuj is wrong in this whole question. Anything done by CA Tanuj is wrong or everything is okay? Anything done by CA Tanuj is wrong? Okay, ma'am. Good. I'm glad everyone is interacting very well today. Everything okay. Good. So this is what this in this question. So you have to prove. Now you understood what the question is. Comment on the action taken. So any action taken by CA Tanuj is wrong? No. All okay. So how do we reach the all okay? So now we know that our conclusion will be that everything is okay. So what will the answer be? Our conclusion sentence will be okay, that everything is okay, everything is as per the standard. But how will we reach that answer? That is what you have to do the drafting. So you know all the information that 60 days is okay. You know that any kind of discarding old things which are not useful is okay. So let's see how the answer is to be written. So what is mentioned? First, see the conclusion. See, I told you what is the question asking for? They're asking your comment, which means you have to give an opinion whether CA Tanuj has done anything wrong or everything is okay. That is why the conclusion it will be the comment. The comment will be the conclusion. So what will be the conclusion? In the given situation, the auditor CA Tanuj has issued the report on 18th August for financial year this much. However, he discarded some supporting schedules and correcting cross-references during assembly of audit file by 10th October, which is under the prescribed time limit of 60 days from the issuance of auditor's report. Further, new audit conclusions were not drawn. Thus, CA Tanuj can make the changes to the audit documentation during final assembly process. So I'm teaching you how we are going from bottom to the top. Okay. So we know the most easiest thing. You have understood everything. So which means you just have to give conclusion. So we have given the conclusion. But how do we reach this conclusion? We have to mention all the points. So what points we have to mention? We have to mention that discarding is okay. New conclusions he has not given and 60 days he has used. So as per SA 230 audit documentation, the auditor shall assemble the audit documentation in a proper audit file and complete the administrative process of assembling the audit file on timely basis after the date of audit report. An appropriate time limit, which is to complete the assembly of final audit file, is ordinarily not more than 60 days after the date of audit report. The completion of audit file after the date of auditor's report is an administrative process that does not involve performance of any new audit procedures and drawing new audit conclusions. Changes, however, can be made to audit documentation if they are of administrative nature. Changes can be made. After the assembly of audit file has been done, the auditor shall not delete or discard audit documentation of any nature before the end of its retention period. What is the retention period given in SA 230? Let's revise that also. What is the retention period given in SA 230? Kavisha has told 7 years. Does everyone agree? And what is the retention period given in Companies Act? What is the retention period given in Companies Act? 8 years. Correct. Okay, good. So in Companies Act, it's 8 years, but in SA 230, it is 7 years. So in the given situation, this I have already read. Did you all understand it correctly? This answer is done. Do you understand how to process a question? how to process the requirement of the question. That is the most important thing. How to process what is the requirement of the question. So we are done with second question. Okay. Let's come to the next part. Okay. So what does the next question say? Messrs. KSJS Associates are statutory auditors of Moon Limited for the financial year 2023-24. During an audit briefing, CS Sanket, the engagement partner, explained that the auditor must assemble the audit documentation in an audit file and complete the administrative process of finalizing the audit file on a timely basis after the date of audit report. He also highlighted the requirements of SQC1 regarding establishment of policies and procedures for retention of engagement documentation. Explained the requirements relating to timely assembly and retention of audit files in accordance with engagement standards. Now, this is a direct question. It is very, very clear that you have to write exactly from the book the whole assembly and documentation part. Okay. Here, do you have to comment on anything? Do you have to comment on anything? Nothing. So it is a direct question. Okay. Now, how to approach such questions is that you have to see, if you'll go and see your book, it has exactly the same answer, that what is the final assembly looks like. So this, the whole answer is given in that part itself. Okay. So here it is important that with relevant engagement and quality control standards. So you mention both SA 230 and SQC 1. You have to mention with full name. Okay. You have to mention in full name. So is this question similar to the other question? Yes. But still, is the answer a little different? Yes, because in first one, the approach was that I had to just prove that CA Tanuj had done everything correct. But here, it's imagining that I am giving a session to Miss Pooja, who's new to audit, and I am telling her everything about SQC1 and what SQC1 talks about the assembly. So here we are doing the work after the audit is finished and whether Tanuj has done the right work or wrong work. And here we are actually teaching that how to do the right work and what needs to be done. So that is why this answer becomes very different, even though the points remain the same. Okay. So the auditor shall assemble the audit documentation in an audit file and complete the administrative process on timely basis. This is same. SQC1, quality control for firms that perform audit and review of historical financial information and other assurance and related services. Quality control for whom? Quality control for me as a partner or for the whole firm. Remember, SQC1 talks about individual person or that how as a CA firm you should behave. Please remember. So quality control for firm. Which kind of firm? If I'm doing any only accounting work, is this SQC applicable on me? I'm not doing anything else. I'm not doing any audit or anything. I'm just doing accounts. Then is this SQC applicable? I have zero audit work. Okay. So it is for whom? Quality control for firms that perform audit services and review services. What kind of audit? Of historical financial information and any other assurance related services. Okay. So it requires firm, underline this, it requires firm to establish policy and procedures for timely completion of assembly of audit files, which means as a firm, I should also have my own policy that how and when and in how much time. So does it mean that SQC and all say it's 60 days, but my firm policy can be like, no, you need to finish in 20 days. Our firm policies, we need to finish in 10 days. Is it possible? Is it possible I can have my own policy? Then I can have policy that you have to do this, you have to make a digital file, plus you have to make a physical file. Everything should have a backup in a hard disk, plus on cloud you have to upload. All this is called as having a policy. Is that clear? So each firm have to establish their own policy that how will the assembly finished. Now, an appropriate time in which assembly is to be done is ordinarily not more than 60 days after the date of audit report. The completion of assembly of audit file after the date of audit report, remember this word, it is an administrative process, does not involve performance of new procedures or new conclusions. Changes may, however, be made to audit documentation during final assembly process if they are administrative in nature. What are the examples of such changes? Deleting or discarding superseded. Superseded means outdated. Sorting, collating, cross-referencing. I told you already. Cross-referencing, collating means bringing together, and sorting means any kind of segregation. Signing of completed checklist relating to final. So if somewhere any sign is pending in the audit checklist, that can also be underlined. Documenting audit evidence that the auditor has obtained, discussed, and agreed with relevant members of engagement team before the date of audit report. So anything, any discussion that happened, if you want to just make proper notes of it, then you can do that. Okay. Ma'am, own policies in the sense of along with compliance requirements, right? Of course. So we have to make sure that our policies are not violating any standard. That is always there. I have to make my own policies, because just telling you that you finish in 60 days is not enough, Anil. You will need information, ma'am. Who do I sit with? How many backups should I make? Can I make this just online digital copy, or should I make a physical copy also? Where should I put the file? In which, what kind of file should I make it? So that is policy. Okay, it gives more details. But you have to follow the policy along with the compliance requirements. Okay. After the assembly of the audit file is completed, auditor shall not delete or discard documentation of any nature. SQC also requires firms to establish policy for the retention of engagement documentation. The retention is no shorter than 7 years from the date of audit report, if later the date of group auditor's report. Everything clear? So what do you think was the difference between question 2 and question 3? What was the difference between question 2 and question 3? Question 2 was about that CA Tanuj has done some things. You just check those things and give a reply. Did I write how much retention period it will have? Did I write that what things he can discard, what things he can't? I didn't go into all the details. I just checked what CA Tanuj has done and replied whether he has done correctly or not. But here I am informing and teaching my team that, so CA Sanket is briefing, which means he's teaching his team right now everything about SQC1 and file assembly. So when he's teaching, he has to explain everything. He's saying what is SQC. He's talking about what our policies are. He's talking about assembly of audit file. He's teaching them that what they can change after audit report and what they can't change in the audit documentation. He's informing them that the retention period is 7 years. Did you understand? Everyone is clear? Why the answer is different even if the points are same? Everyone is clear? Quickly tell me, then we can move on to the next one. So these small things actually are the main reason whether you'll score good or bad in your exams. Okay? So these small things are not very small. They are very, very important. Next question. CAN, the statutory auditor of QST Limited, has been appointed for a term of 5 years, has completed audit for the first financial year. Okay, so he was appointed for 5 years. As of now, he has completed first audit. Okay, in compliance with requirements of professional standards, an audit file has been assembled. Assembly is also finished. After about a period of 6 months from the date of issue audit report, he gets a call from the CFO of the company to share complete audit files so that financial reporting of the company can be improved upon in coming periods. Is it mandatory for statutory auditors to share files with the client? First, you tell me the answer. Is it mandatory for statutory auditors to share audit files with client? Everyone quickly reply. Abhishek has said yes. Kavisha has said not mandatory. Anyone else? Any answer? Pooja is saying not mandatory. Okay. Mujahid, yes means what? Not mandatory, Anil is saying. Okay. So, the correct answer is audit documentation is property of auditor. Whose property it is? Audit documentation is the property of the auditor. I own it. Even if it is about your company, it is my work. Okay. So the audit documentations are property of auditors. You have no right on it. If you ask for it, at my discretion, at my own discretion, may give to you, but I am under no obligation to give to even the company who I have audited. So, firstly, it is not mandatory. Okay. Now, what are the requirements for making audit documentation available to the clients? Now, you tell me, is this a little bit of drafting question? Does it involve a little bit of drafting? Or is it like exact just theory question like the previous one? What is the demand of the question? What is the demand of the question? Quickly tell me. Now, this kind of question is drafting plus direct both. Okay. Why drafting? Because it is asking you to give an opinion. It has given a case to you. And why it is direct? Because what are the requirements of making audit documentation available? This is directly from SQC1. Okay, little bit of drafting is needed, but overall it's a direct question. Okay, so let's see this. SQC1, again you have to write the full name and number. Quality control for firms that perform audits and reviews of historical financial information and other assurance and related service engagements provide that unless otherwise specified by law or regulation, audit documentation is property of the auditor. Therefore, it is not mandatory for CAN to share the audit file. Now, here, second mistake that I have seen students make is confusion between SA 230, when to write that it is SA 230 and when to write SQC1. Do you know when to write SQC1? This is the second mistake I'm making you aware. So you're all in revisional phase now. You should also know where the mistakes are made. So do you all know that what is SQC1? What points are covered in SQC1? So SQC1 usually has 2 points in this chapter. Okay, so if the question is regarding assembly of file, any point regarding assembly of file, what to remove, what can be added, how many days, everything is SQC1. And property, ownership of audit documentation. This is most common mistake. So whenever the question comes that how many years the auditor has to hold the file, where is it written? So it's people, most of the students do this mistake. Audit documentation retention means that we have to do it for SA 230. No. So whenever it is about assembly of audit file, whenever it is talking about ownership of audit documentation. So that is when we have to write SQC1. Please don't make this mistake. It is one of the most common mistake made by student. Okay. So it is not mandatory. So here we have covered the first part of the question. This part of the question is done. Okay. He may at his discretion make portions or extract from audit documentation available to clients, provide such disclosure does not undermine the validity of work performed, or in case of assurance engagement, the independence of the auditor or his personnel. Everyone clear with this answer? All right. We'll move on to the next one. Question number 5. CA Shilpi, the engagement partner of MN Associates. Okay, CA Shilpi, the engagement partner of MN Associates, is assigned the audit of following two companies. Z Limited, a family-run business with straightforward operations, minimal internal controls, low transaction volumes. TED Limited, a large MNC with complex operations, multiple subsidiaries, and high transaction volumes. During the audit planning stage, CA Shilpi highlights that the form, content, and extent of audit documentation must be customized for each client based on specific factors. Discuss those factors with respect to which on form, content, and extent of auditing is dependent on. So if I have to tell the most commonly asked question of this essay is this only. So all this information is extra. What is it, a direct question or a drafting question? Quickly tell me, is it a direct question or a drafting question? Factors on which form, content, and extent of audit documentation. It is a very, very direct question. It is a very, very direct question. Very easy also. Okay. So what does form, on what factors does form, content, and extent of audit documentation depend? Think from this. Use this trick. Whether the file will be thick or thin, फाइल मोटी होगी या फाइल पतली होगी, ये किस पे डिपेंड करता है? On what does it depend that whether the file will be thick or file will be thin? Just think. Okay. अगर कंपनी की साइज बड़ी है, if the company size is big, the company is more complex, will the file be thick? Yes or no? Content of audit documentation will be more? Yes or no? Quickly reply. Okay. So I'll teach you how to think this answer. You can remember it always. So first, what will depend, what will make my file thick or thin? First is size of the company, size and its complexity. So if I have a very complex client, of course, my file would be more thick. Okay. Then what factors it depends on? If I identify more risks, will the file be thick? If the risks are more, the size of the file will be bigger or smaller? If I identify more and more risks, will the size of the file be bigger? Yes. So the next thing that affects is how many risk of material misstatement I have identified. After we identify risk of material misstatement, what do? We perform audit procedures. So if I perform a lot of audit procedures, my file would be bigger or smaller? If I perform a lot of audit procedures, my file will be bigger. So it affects the content of audit documentation. Then to do these audit procedures, I'll use some audit tools. If I use more and more tools, the file will be bigger. After I do all this, I find audit evidence. If I find a lot of audit evidence, will the file be bigger or smaller? If I find a lot of evidence, will the file will be bigger or smaller? If in one go I find original document, the file will be lesser. But if I am able to find only oral audit evidence, do I have to find and talk to more people or less people? If I directly find real original document, I have to, that is the evidence. But if I find only oral evidence, will I have to talk and document more people? Will it increase the work? Will it increase the work, students? So if the quality of audit evidence is better, the size would be less. So the next thing that affects my audit documentation is the size of audit evidence. Then nature of exceptions identified. What if I told you that in this entity, what is the name of this entity? Let's say in TED Limited, okay? In TED Limited, this year, they have sold off some machinery also. They have opened 50 new branches also. They have done merger with another company also. They have purchased new technology also. They had some small fire also. So, if lot of exceptions and events have happened, will it increase my work or decrease my work? Will it increase my work or decrease my work? So if the nature and extent of exceptions identified are very high, then of course your work will increase. And lastly, okay, so need to document a conclusion, but if not readily determinable, if you are easily not able to decide true and fair view, not true and fair view, will it increase the work? If you are not able to easily conclude, easily it is not determinable whether it's true and fair view, not true and fair view, then it will increase your work, increase your documentation. So wherever work is increased, documentation is increased. So what affects the size of documentation? What affects the form, content, and extent of documentation? Whatever increases the work, increases the documentation. So what increases the work? Size of the company. Then if size is more risks will be identified. If more risks are identified, more audit procedures to perform and more audit tools to use, then more type of evidences will be needed. And if it is big size company, nature of exceptions can also be very high, and conclusion, need to document a conclusion or a conclusion not readily determinable. Can you remember this answer now? Can you remember this answer? Very, very most asked question of this chapter. The most asked question. It's like a classic, old is gold. It is that kind of question, okay? So it is a classic question that is very, very important. So the form, content, and size of documentation, of course, you can mention essay 230 here, not a problem. Please mention wherever you feel it is absolutely okay to mention. The form, content, and audit documentation depends on factors such as size and complexity of the entity. So I have rearranged it, okay? I have rearranged to create a flow. You can rearrange it. It's completely okay. So I have first done identification of risk. According to this, nature of audit procedures to be performed, then audit methodology and tools used, then evidence obtained, okay? Then nature and extent of exceptions identified, and need to document a conclusion or basis of conclusion not readily determinable from the documentation or evidence. Done. We are done with this question number 5 now. Like most asked question from this chapter. ये तो नींद में भी याद होना चाहिए. You should remember this even in your sleep, this answer. Okay. Next. We will move to next question. CA PQ has prepared audit documentation of an entity describing nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures performed during the course of audit. Okay. In documenting nature, timing, and extent of procedures, what matters are to be recorded? He is also of the view that such documentation alone, as described above, meets requirements of standards of auditing. Comment upon validity of his views. Okay. So again, this is mostly a direct question. Very lightly you have to draft, but mostly it's a direct question that which matters are to be recorded when you're recording nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures. This will just see. So I'll explain to you. So when I'm doing nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures, okay, I will write down what kind of things I tested, okay? What kind of things am I testing? What is their common characteristic? Who performed the work? When was the work completed? Who reviewed the audit work? And the date and extent of review. So when I am documenting any audit procedures performed, I will write in clear detail that what characteristics I have identified in respect to the items I have tested, what type of items I have tested, who tested them, when was it completed, who reviewed them, and how the review was done. Now, auditor shall prepare audit documentation that is sufficient to enable an experienced auditor having no previous connection with an audit to understand. Now, remember this. What does it mean? So, suppose I am in a partnership firm. Okay. So, there is me A, there is one B, and there is one C. Now, B has done the whole audit of this company called as ABC Limited, XYZ Limited, okay? B is the engagement partner of XYZ Limited, okay? So CAB has fully audited XYZ Limited. Now, am I involved in the audit? No. But the documentation by CAB and his team should be so good that if I read it, I should be able to understand how they did the audit, what procedures they performed. So, what does it say? The auditor shall prepare audit documentation that is sufficient to enable an experienced auditor having no connection with this audit to understand three things. What procedures you performed, what were the results of this procedure and what evidence you obtained, what significant matters happened during the audit, what conclusions you reached, what professional judgments were used to reach those conclusions. Okay, first, when you are documenting nature, time, and extent of audit procedures, you will note down the items and the matters that were tested, who performed them, when the work was completed, who reviewed it, and how the review was done. Next, when you're preparing audit documentation, you have to note down three main things. What audit procedures you performed? What does it mean by what audit procedures? Did I do inspection? How much inquiry was done? Did I do recalculation? Did I do reperformance? How much analytical procedures I used? You remember that answer? So we have to note down what kind of audit procedures I performed, when I performed it, and extent means to which extent I performed it. Then what results I got out of it. Very, very normal. पहले क्या perform किया? Okay, what was performed? Then what result came out of it? Okay, what result came out of it? And how did I conclude the result? Okay, so क्या perform किया, क्या result आया और कैसे conclude किया? So nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures performed, क्या perform किया? Second, results of audit procedures performed and audit evidence obtained, क्या result आया? Last, significant matters during audit and conclusions reached and significant judgment made in reaching those conclusions. Above all, matters shall be recorded to meet the requirements of SA 230. Documenting nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures performed alone does not meet the requirements of SA 230. Thus, CA PQ's views are not valid. So, is it okay if she documents only first point? So, what is the question here? So they have done the documentation that is describing nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures. Is this much enough? to note? Is this much documentation enough that I just write down what procedures I performed? Is only writing document nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures enough? No. So what all we have to write? Nature, timing, and extent of procedures, result of those procedures, evidence of obtained, significant matters, conclusions, judgment. So unless everything is written, are you following SA 230? No. So is SCA PQ following SA 230? No. That's it. So this question is done. Very unique and good question. Okay. This is a very, very good question. Not very commonly asked, but it's a good question. Okay. Next. Again, this is quite similar to previous one. CA Ripun completed the audit of a listed company, and the audit report was issued on July 17th, 2024. However, he has not properly organized the working papers, including records of discussion with management, audit procedures performed, and conclusions reached. More than 6 months after issuing the report, he received a letter from the regulator in connection with the audit of the company requesting him to share a copy of audit file. Regulator has sent the letter. In a hurry, CA Rupun quickly assembled the audit file, adding some papers he thought were necessary, but he used the current date on this newly added documents. He then sent the audit file to the regulator, discussed the issues related to audit documentation and assembly. So this again looks like a case study, but it is actually a very direct question that you have seen till now. The auditor shall assemble the audit documentation in an audit file and complete the administrative process. SQC1 again requires firms to establish policy and procedure. Appropriate time is not more than 60 days. Completion after the date does not involve new audit procedures, new conclusions. Changes may be made regarding administrative nature only. All this point is written. Just come here. In the given case, even after passage of more than 6 months, CA Rupun has not assembled an audit file. Besides, he has put in some papers with current date, which is not permissible at all. It shows that the part of audit documentation has been prepared afterwards, putting a question mark on the quality of audit. Will you write it is illegal or there will be penalty imposed? You will not write such things. Okay? It means it is not permissible. Use the word permissible. Okay? It is not permissible and it will affect that how people think about the quality of the audit. So some words you have to make sure you are using correctly. Okay? Next question. Mr. PK and Company Chartered Accountants are statutory auditor of JC Limited. CA Tarun, partner of PK Limited, PK and Company, was entrusted to supervise and verify the inventory items as on 31/3/2024. During the process of verification, a large chunk of draft inventory sheets were accumulated and then a final inventory sheet was prepared. The audit assistant has kept all these drafts and the final inventory sheet in the file. Is the approach of audit assistant correct? So, lot of draft sheets were prepared, but there was a final sheet. So do I need to keep all the drafts or can I just keep the final sheet? Tell me. Final sheet is enough. We don't have to keep all the drafts that we made. Okay. So in the given case, the audit assistant has kept a large chunk of inventory sheets and final sheets, which is not correct as the auditor is not required to document draft inventory sheets. The auditor should ensure that only final sheets will form part of documentation. Thus, the approach of the audit assistant for filing and draft inventory is not correct. Why is this point given first? Because first is the approach of audit evidence correct? So the first thing that is being asked is this part. Then they are asking you a generic question that which papers may not be included. not included, not be included, which we don't have to include. As per SA 230, audit documentation may be on paper or electronic or any other media. The auditor need not include any superseded drafts, any notes that reflect incomplete or preliminary thinking, any previous copies of documents that were corrected for any typographical errors, and any duplicates. So please remember here, many students don't remember this answer. I'm again repeating. What can we discard? First, any previous drafts before the final one. You can just keep the final, remove the superseded drafts. Notes, your own notes. So initially when I started audit, I was thinking I'll do like this. But as I saw the audit, I changed my way and did completely different work. So should I keep the original thoughts? No, not needed. Then suppose I made an audit report. But initially, first two audit reports had some drafting errors, had some typing errors. Do I need to keep those reports? No. And duplicates. So please remember this: superseded draft, notes that reflect incomplete thinking, previous copies, and duplicates. Okay. If you want to remember, I remember it as dips. Okay. If you want to remember, you can remember it as dips. So auditor need not include in audit documentation dips. Dips is duplicates. Okay. Then incomplete or preliminary thinking. Then previous copies of documents that were corrected for typographical and superseded drafts. Okay. That's it. We are done with this chapter. I'll just quickly make you go through this. You know what document is this that I'm showing on the screen? You know what document it is that I'm showing you on screen? Okay. So there are one or two points that I want to just highlight for you so that SA 230 is properly done. Saransh is a very, very good quick referencer. Okay. Now, audit documentation, just remember these three things. Okay. Audit documentation refers to working papers that has audit procedures performed, audit evidence obtained, and conclusions reached. See, audit procedures performed is audit documentation. Audit evidence obtained is audit documentation. Conclusions reached is audit documentation. Please remember, okay, this much is there. Then I wanted to show you this part. Please remember this objective of auditor. What is the objective of auditor? To prepare documentation that provides what? A sufficient, appropriate record of the basis of audit report. And it also provides evidence that audit was properly planned and performed. Okay. So it provides two things. It provides that on what basis I gave my audit report. And it is also an evidence that I did my job well. So it is an evidence that the audit was properly planned and performed. Please remember these two objectives, very important, okay? Then these were the main thing. This point we have finished. Form and content is done. Yeah, so this you can remember for MCQ student, that what is included in audit documentation, any kind of analysis, any kind of issues memoranda. Issues memoranda, it means like a summary of all the problems that we found during the audit, summary of all the significant matters, letters of confirmation, any kind of checklist, any kind of correspondence, all audit programs, all these are a part of audit documentation. And this we saw many times, the administrative changes, SQC1, this we have finished, okay? That's it. Ownership, SQC1, okay? All right, so here we are fully done with essay number 230. Everyone clear? Can I conclude this chapter now? Can I conclude the chapter number 6? Everyone? And we'll start with the next chapter. Yes. Okay. Audit of banks. We'll be starting now with audit of banks. Just give me a second. So, audit of banks is a very, again, uh, is it possible? Yes, I'll get it uploaded. Okay. Give me time till tomorrow or day after. We'll get it all uploaded. Okay. I think for the previous chapter also the questions were uploaded, right? For the previous class. Or do you want this written thing? Do you want just the questions or do you want this written thing and annotated thing with the red marks and all? Need the questions. Okay. All right. I'll make sure. Okay. That is done. Now let's come to the next questions. That is, I've written the notes with you. Good, Kavisha. That's good. All right. So we'll go with the next chapter, audit of banks. I really think this is a very good chapter. It has a mix of the theory of audit and the practicality of knowledge of banks, and a lot of practical application of the knowledge that you have acquired in the previous chapters. Okay, so this is a very interesting chapter. We'll be doing a lot of practical questions also today, and this will be a very wholesome review. It will really help you a lot. Okay, so let's start with the first question. Question number 1. Advances generally constitute a major part of assets of the bank. There are large number of borrowers to whom advances are granted. Okay, we know that. Advances of Audit of advances requires a major attention from the auditor. So do you know that in real life this is absolutely true, that whenever we go for bank audits, one of the most important areas that we pay attention, the most attention, is the audit of advances. Explain broad considerations about which auditor is primarily concerned with obtaining evidence in carrying out audit of advances. So if I am checking advances, what are the things I would try to find evidence for? Now, this is a very direct question from the book, okay? It is a direct question from the book. But even if it's direct, I have seen that students usually are not able to write the answer as well as they should be able to. So before I write, do you all remember assertions? Do you all remember assertions for checking balance sheet items? See, let's see if you are able to write it on the chat. Don't look anywhere. Don't use your internet. Don't check your book. Think from your own mind and tell me. What are the assertions to verify any balance sheet item? Rights, obligation, okay. Rights and obligation. Valuation, correct. Then someone said classification, that is presentation and disclosure. Then what have you said? Existence, correct. And someone said completeness. So this is the golden rule of checking any balance sheet item. Everyone knows that much, right? This is like the main basic golden rule to check any balance sheet item. Now, advances are a balance sheet item. Okay, what is the thing? That forget bank audit, forget everything. Remember your chapter number 5, okay, right now. So, advances generally constitute a major part. Explain the broad considerations for which auditor is considered primarily concerned in obtaining evidence regarding audit of advances. So, what all evidence we need to find? I need to find that these advances are actually the amount that is due to the bank, which means can I put anything in advances that the bank has to pay? Can anything be there in advances which bank has to pay? Quickly tell me. Can anything be added in advances in which bank has to pay? Tell me. No. Which means I have to find the amounts that the amounts are actually what? Actually due to the bank. That is how it means I have to check the rights. What do I have to check? I have to check the rights. Okay. And how can I check? There should be proper documents to support it. Appropriate documents to support. There should be appropriate documents to support. Okay. Then valuation. Let's talk about valuation. You all said that we have to check valuation. So we have to see that valuation is appropriate. Now, what is valuation? Valuation is appropriate, which means it is on the basis of how much money we are going to recover and it is correctly recognized. In this also, do you remember provisions? NPA provisions, substandard asset provision, doubtful asset provision. Do you remember that? So I want to check valuation and allocation, which means I'll check the valuation is correct and I'll see all the provisions are correctly made so that we have proper valuation. Now, presentation and disclosure. Is it necessary that you correctly classify the advances into standard asset, substandard asset, doubtful asset, and loss asset? Is that necessary? That is called as presentation. So we have to properly disclose, classify as per the accounting policy. Then I have to check existence. How can I check existence? I can see that amounts are actually outstanding at the date of balance sheet. Okay, amounts are actually outstanding at the date of balance sheet. And of course, you can mention again that you have to have appropriate documents. You need to have appropriate documents. Which means if you are showing any loan in balance sheet, there should be documents for it. Now I have to check completeness, which means I have to see there is no unrecorded advance. I have to make sure that all advances are recorded. This is your actual answer. You have to check amount due to the bank is properly mentioned and supported with documents. Valuation is appropriate. Provisions are correctly made. Disclosure is correctly done. All the outstanding is as per the date of balance sheet. Appropriate documents are there to support it. And there are no unrecorded advance. This is your answer from the book. Which base has been used? The base of your assertions. It is not mentioned anywhere. If you will see in the answer, the assertions are not mentioned anywhere. But what is being used actually? At the end, what are being used? Assertions only. Did you understand how to approach this answer? So this answer I have seen that students don't perform well in this answer. They make a lot of mistakes. But if you remember from the perspective, I have to check rights, which means I have to see all amount are actually due to the bank. I have to check valuation, Okay, all valuation is correct or provisions is correct. Okay. Presentation and disclosure. I have to see everything is properly presented, classified, and disclosed as per the accounting policy. I have to check existence, which means all the outstandings that are showing on balance sheet date have supported with appropriate documents. And completeless, which means no unrecorded advances are left. Everyone clear? Now, if you'll see the answer, you will not find it very difficult. So, advances generally constitute a major part of the assets of the bank. There are large number of borrowers. This is straight from the question. This is copied from the question itself. In carrying out audit of advances, the auditor is primarily concerned with obtaining evidence about the following. Amounts included in balance sheet in respect of advances which are outstanding as on the date of balance sheet. Advances represent amount due to the bank. Amounts due to the bank are appropriately supported by loan documents and other documents as applicable. There are no unrecorded advances. The stated basis of valuation of advances is appropriate and properly applied, and the recoverability of advances is properly recognized in valuation. Advances are disclosed, classified, and described as per the recognized accounting policies and practices and statutory requirements. And proper provisions towards advances have been made as per RBI norms, accounting standards, and generally accepted accounting principles. Very, very important that question. Any doubt? Do you understand how to remember this question? Everyone is clear how to remember this? Quickly tell me. Anyone else? Kavisha has replied, yes, ma'am, no doubt. Anyone else? Quickly let me know. This is very important. I want to know that you all understood. Okay. All right. Okay. So you all have understood it. Uh, Next question we'll take. Okay. Right now we can take a small break if that's all okay with you guys. We'll take a break for 10 minutes. Okay. Technical team, we are taking a break for 10 minutes. We'll be back by 8:30. Okay. Okay, students, I'm back. I hope you are all there. Quickly let me know you are here. Everyone, quickly let me know that you are here and I can start with the class. Just send a thumbs up. Am I audible and visible? Technical team, am I audible and visible? Technical team? Yes, okay, finally. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mujahid. Okay, so since I'm audible, visible, I hope you're all back. And we'll start with the next question for bank audit. So during the audit of Smile Bank, CA Sweetie focused on understanding the risk management process of the bank. She reviewed how management developed controls and used performance indicators to monitor key business and financial risks. CSVT also assessed whether the risk management system effectively identified and mitigated risk in required areas. How should CSVT evaluate the adequacy of banks' risk management controls? Okay, so let's understand. This is one of the most important theory answers. So it's a very direct theory answer. It's a very direct theory answer. You write the way it is, you'll get full marks. Okay. So what you have to make sure that when you write, how you're writing. Okay. So it is very important that in banks, when the volume of the work is very, very high, the transactions are high, the number of customers are very high, the complexity is very high, we are unable to check each and every transaction that happens. And that is why we have to see the controls. And to see whether the controls are good, banks should have good risk process. Because unless I identify a risk, I cannot put a control on it. Okay. Unless a risk is identified, you cannot put control on it. Okay. So to understand the risk management process of the bank, to understand risk management process, you have to do the following things. It's a very straightforward answer. First, if I want to understand the risk of the manager of a bank, I should see how much are the top officials involved, which means how much is the oversight plus involvement of TCWG. Okay. They should have, I'm giving you all the keywords, please make note. How much oversight and involvement is there of TCWG in regard to they should have approve written risk management policies should be there. Okay. These policies should be consistent with bank's objectives. They should be consistent with bank's objectives, their strategies, their capital strength, okay, their expertise, the regulatory requirement. It should be consistent, okay? So, first important thing to understand the risk management process of a bank is to see how much oversight and involvement is there of TCWG. In what they need involvement? In approving properly written risk management policy. And these risk management policies should be consistent, means they should be realistic and they should match our objectives. They should match our strategies, our strength, our expertise, our regulatory requirements. Okay. So this is the first point to understand risk management process. Second thing to understand the risk management process is how do they identify, measure, and monitor the risk. Means, what did I tell you? Can we control something if we have not identified it? No. We can only control those things for which we have identified that how bad they are, how frequently they happen. So you can only control something which you have identified. So identification, measurement, and monitoring. So if this process is very well done in the bank, which means risk management process is good. So the second thing to understand risk management process is how they identify, how they measure, and how they monitor risk. After risk has been identified, what is created? Control. So the next step to a risk management process is control activities. Next step to a risk management process is their control activities. So I have implemented some control. Is it enough that I've implemented control? No. I have to then manage the control. I have to continuously see that the control is being implemented. So monitoring controls. Okay, monitoring activities. And after monitoring is done, bank should have reliable information system so that all the information is sent on timely and consistent basis. All the information is sent on timely and consistent basis. So if risk is changing, we should get information quickly. If control is not working, we should get information quickly. If control is working, but it is not working on daily basis, we should get the information immediately. So that is called as good information system that gives us timely report and consistent information. So to do any kind of risk, to understand risk management process in a bank, you have to see how much TCWG is involved. Then how are they identifying, measuring, and monitoring the risk? What are the control activities being performed? How the monitoring of those activities is being done? And whether the bank has reliable information system that is giving information on timely and consistent basis. So let's come to the point. Understanding risk management process. Management develops, controls, and uses performance indicators to aid in managing key business and financial risk. This is already given. You're not writing on your own. Okay, it's already given. An effective risk management system in a bank generally requires the following: oversight and involvement by TCWG. TCWG can be BOD, MD. They will approve the written risk management policy. They should be consistent. All this I have already mentioned. Identification, measurement, and monitoring of the risk. You have to see risk which can impact the achievement of bank's goals. Okay. Next, control activities. Control activities means you have to mitigate the risks you have found by properly doing segregation of duties, accurate measurement and reporting of positions, verification and approval of any transaction, reconciliation of results, setting up limits, reporting and approval of exceptions, physical security, contingency planning. So they are giving you examples of controls. I'll explain a few. What does it mean, segregation of duty? It means that cashier will be very different from a loan officer. Okay. Cashier will be very different than a loan officer. The IT department of a bank will be very different than the savings bank account opening officer. Okay. So there should be proper differentiation. Then verification and approval of transactions. So if you are going to get an RTGS done in the bank, everyone knows RTGS, right? So if I'm going to get RTGS done of 10 lakh rupees in the bank, there would be someone to whom I'll give the slip, but there will be someone who needs to approve it. So there is proper differentiation between who is verifying and who is approving the transaction. Then setting up limits. Setting up limits means each bank manager will have a limit on how much he can give loans. So in banks, they will have limit, for example, that you can approve a gold loan of maximum 20 lakhs. If it's the gold loan is more than 20 lakhs, you have to send it to the regional office. So that is called as setting up of limits. All these are called as control activities. Physical security. Even having a security guard near the cashier is a control activity. Having a locker to put cash is control activity. Okay. So if you are able to identify risk, you are able to put controls. Having a CCTV camera. Is having a CCTV camera control activity? Quickly tell me. Having a CCTV camera, is it a control activity? Yes. But if that CCTV camera footage gets deleted in 3 days only, is it still keeping risk? So I'm monitoring it. So there you have put the CCTV camera, but the CCTV footage is deleted every 3 days. Control risk. Yes or no? You have put a control system, but when you monitor it, you find out that it's not working effectively. At least the CCTV camera footage should stay for 90 to 120 days. Okay. So monitoring activities means you have to see models, methodologies, and assumptions used to manage is regularly assessed and updated. Okay. So all these points need to be evaluated. Reliable information system. Reliable information system means financial, operating, and compliance information is received on timely and consistent basis. Why? So that they can understand what's going on and then change if required. Why this information is needed every day? So that you can understand what's happening. So, in banks, every day there's something called as daily reports generated. In that daily reports, all cash transactions that were done, more than 1 lakh or 10 lakh, all the exceptions that have happened, a daily report is generated. Okay. So that is a part of reliable information system. So how do we check the risk management process? Oversight and involvement of TCWG, risk and measurement and monitoring of risks, and control activities, monitoring activities, and reliable information system. That's it. We are done. Very important answer. Next question. Mahavir, and now you please pay attention. There are a lot of practical questions, okay? Mahavir and Associates is appointed as statutory auditor of KBC Bank for the financial year 2023-24. During the audit, Ms. Chandana, an article trainee, noticed that Siddharth Industries has an outstanding loan of 5 lakhs. So this much is outstanding on March 31st, 2024. So 31/3/2024 outstanding is 50 lakhs. Okay. Then on 29th, on March 29, 2024, the company made a payment of rupees 10 lakh, reducing the outstanding loan balance. I think there's some mistake. Just change this. On 29/3, this is the balance. On 31st, 2024, they have made a payment. How much payment has been received? 10 lakh. So the balance has been reduced to 40 lakhs. So now the balance outstanding is 40 lakhs. But on April 4th, now again third transaction has happened. 4th April 2024, a reversal of 8 lakhs has happened. The payment and now the balance is again what? 48 lakhs. Balance is again 48 lakhs. Okay. The payment and subsequent reversal occurred within a short period, with a final outstanding balance of 48 lakhs after the reversal. Considering this scenario, what should be the response of Mahavir and Associates, particularly regarding the classification of borrower's account and potential risk of it slipping into NPA category? Okay. Now pay attention here. What was the outstanding on 29th March? 50 lakh rupees. Okay. What happened on 31st March? Payment of rupees 10 lakhs was done, and then the balance reduced to 40 lakhs. Again, on 4th April, the amount was reversed and the balance became 48 lakhs. So what happens? In the balance sheet on 31st March, the amount will show 40 lakhs. But immediately next month, it will be 48 lakhs. So what is this case of? Accounts regularized near the balance sheet date. So maybe this account was slipping in the NPA. What would have happened on 31st March? Someone would have come, the auditor would have come and found that this account has become NPA. But to avoid it coming to notice of anyone, the bank or the borrower have decided that we'll just add 10 lakh rupees and after few days we'll reverse the transaction. And hence now there is doubtfulness on the transparency and genuineness of this 10 lakh rupees, which means there is suspicion that they're trying to keep an NPA from happening. They're trying to prevent an NPA, but they actually don't have capacity to pay. Okay, they don't have capacity to pay. So when an account is regularized near the balance sheet date and the accounts appear to be doing suspicious transactions to ensure that on 31st March it appears correct, then you should as an auditor report it and it can be a deemed NPA also. Okay. So this is a very nice question. The asset classification of borrower accounts where a solitary or a few credits are recorded just before the balance sheet date should be handled with proper care and without scope for subjectivity. Where the accounts indicate inherent weakness on the basis of data available, the account should be deemed as NPA. The auditor should check for sample transactions immediately before the closing of the financial year and immediately after the closing of the financial year to get a knowledge of the objective behind the transactions, if they have any relation to each or other in borrower accounts, or if some transactions are being reversed during the first few days after closing, which might show that an arrangement, use this word, an arrangement to prevent the borrower's account from slipping into NPA category has been done. In the given case of Siddharth Industries, a payment of 10 lakh was made on March 29, reducing the outstanding balance to 40 lakhs, and subsequently it was reversed by 8 lakhs on April 4th. Thus, Mahavir and Associates should carefully assess the classification of Siddharth Industries account, determine if the payment and reversal transactions indicate an attempt to prevent the account from slipping into NPA. If yes, the account should be classified as NPA as per the regulatory guidelines. Everyone clear? So these are very practical questions. Okay? Everyone clear with this question? Very good question. Okay? Next. During the course of statutory bank audit of a nationalized bank, C. Amrish is performing audit procedures in relation to advances. He has verified the selected sample of borrower representing advances and found nothing unusual. In banking environment, there exists documentary evidence containing observations and comments on advances which can be useful to the statutory auditor in performing an effective audit. List out such documentary evidences. So, how as an auditor, so this looks like a complicated question, but it is a direct question. Let's see properly. You are performing audit procedures. You have selected some things, but there is nothing unusual. In banking environment, that there exists, please pay attention. There exists documentary evidence containing observations and comments on advances, which can be useful to statutory branch auditor in performing an effective audit. Now, this is a very good example of a question where you don't understand what it asks. But when you see the answer, you will feel, oh my God, this is the answer. I know this answer. But I didn't understand, I didn't realize that I had to write this answer in this question. It is one of those questions. Let me see if any of you can guess which answer is to be written. Read this sentence. I will tell you to focus on this sentence. In a banking environment, there exists documentary evidence containing observations and comments on advances which can be useful to statutory branch auditor in performing an effective audit. List out few such documentary evidence which can be used by CA Ambrish. Try. I will give you 2 minutes, but I want to see that what will you say. Assertions answer, ma'am. Okay, Kavisha, anyone else? I want to see what others say. I'm giving you 1 or 2 minutes. You will not find it anywhere. You have to use your own mind. Anyone else? Only Kavisha has told till now. Audit of branch. Okay. Others? One more answer I have received. Audit of branch. Can you explain what do you mean by it, Anil? Control environment. Okay. Anything else? Anyone else want to give it a try? Okay. So none of you were able to identify the answer correctly. And that is what I meant, that this is the tricky part of the question. It's not that the answer is very hard. The answer, if I show you, you'll be like, I knew this answer, ma'am. But you are not able to understand the requirement of the question. So what is the question? In banking environment, there exists some evidence that that already have some observations and comments on advances. Means there is some document. Forget the word document. There is already some document which has comments, which already has comments on advances. Now that I'm saying like that, where if I go for an audit, which documents I can find where there is already some comments on advances, which I can use? Which kind of documents already have a comment on advances which I can use? The answer is other audit reports. In banking environment, there are already documents in which observations exist regarding advances, which can be useful to the statutory auditor. What are those? Now you got it. Now you understand the trick of this. This is another type of questions that I was telling, that the question is straightforward. Answer is very, very straightforward. Answer is very easy. But you didn't know that this answer is needed for this question. And that is why I tell you that very important to practice Q&A. Okay. So the auditor should take into account adverse comments. So how can you see what are the evidences available to us to check comments on other advances? Previous year audit report, internal inspection report, RBI report, concurrent audit report, any security verification report, any other internal reports, manager's report. All these things are available. Everyone clear with the answer? So the answer is not the problem. Question, understanding the question is the trick here. Okay. Next. Next, pay attention. National Bank has advanced cash credit facility of 25 lakhs to Sun Industries. So cash credit, this is the limit. Following is the extract of account of Sun Industries reflected in CBS of bank from December 1st. Okay. So 1st December, there is a debit. 31st December, there's a credit. Then after 31st December, there are just interest, inspection charges, interest. Okay. So has it crossed 25 lakhs? Has it crossed? Not crossed 25 lakhs. So this is not the problem. So this is okay. Drawing power during the above period was consistent. The account was classified as standard asset as on 31st. This will be 2024. 31/12/2024 in the books of accounts. The security charged with the bank remains intact throughout this period. Comment on the asset classification of the above account as on 31st March. Tell me what is the problem? Is the standard account correct? Is the standard account correct? Tell me. Quickly, is the standard account correct? Kavisha is saying correct. Anyone else? Anil is saying standard account is correct, ma'am. Okay. Anyone else? Any other opinion? Okay. So, remember this. You tell me, how does cash credit account become NPA? When it becomes out of order. Okay. When does it become out of order? Okay. When you are overdrawing from limits or DP, drawing power. Okay. Okay. Then, no, not 90 days. NPA is not a loan that is given as a fixed amount. It is a limit that is given. Okay. So you cannot have a 90-day period because there is no EMI in cash credit. So in cash credit, there are three ways to become NPA. First, you are overdrawing, which means you are using more than 25 lakhs that is given to you. Second, there are no credits for more than 90 days. And if credits are there, not enough to cover interest. So now tell me, see the second point, no credits for 90 days. What has happened in this? Has any money come after 31st 12? 9. Greater than equal to 90 days. Has any credit come for 90 days? No. So last credit was 31st 12. No credit for 3 months. Only debits. Only debits. No credits. Should this be an NPA? Now tell me. Should this be an NPA? Yes. This is how you understand the question. So in accordance with RBI norms on asset classification, a non-performing asset is a loan on an advance where account remains out of order in respect of OD and CC. So an account should be treated as an out of order if account outstanding balance remains continuously in excess of sanction limit, or in where the account balance in principal operating account is less than sanction limit power, but there are no credits continuously for 90 days. Okay. For 90 days continuously, there are no credits, or credits are there, but not enough to cover the interest also. In the given case, although outstanding balance is less than sanction limit, there are no credits continuously for 90 days as on the date of balance sheet. Therefore, it has become out of order and it is required to be classified as NPA. Under non-performing assets, it would be classified as substandard asset as it remained NPA for a period of less than or equal to 12 months. Completed. So this point is finished. Now we move on to the next. Mr. JKL and Associates Chartered Accountants are statutory auditors of IBS Bank Limited for the financial year 2024-25. During the audit, they observed the following items included under interest income in the financial statement of the bank. An amount of rupees 5 lakh relating to short-term loan where installment was overdue for one crop season. An amount of rupees 7 lakh related to amount guaranteed equally by Government of India or Government of Tamil Nadu, where installment has become overdue for more than 6 months. From the above facts, what should be the correct treatment of the above interest income in bank's financial statements? State the amount that can be recognized as interest income with appropriate reason. Also determine the amount to be classified as NP. So, first remember this. If it's crop loan, so if it is short duration crop, it should be overdue for 2 crop seasons at least. And if it is a long duration crop, it should be overdue for at least one crop season. Now, in this case, short-term duration, short-term loan has become overdue for only one crop season. So is it an NPA? No, it is not an NPA yet. It's a normal standard account. So can this 5 lakhs be part of interest? Yes. So this is correct. No problem. Okay. Then next is amount of 7 lakhs relating to advance that was guaranteed equally by Government of India and Government of Tamil Nadu. So one is central government guarantee, and second is state government guarantee. What happens when it is a central government guarantee? You can continue the account as normal. Okay. So even if it has become NPA, then it can, even if it is not paying you money, you have to continue categorize it as standard account only. But if it is state government entry, then NPA provisioning applicable. But you know what is common in both? Interest income will be on actual basis. Okay, once you stop saying, okay. Income recognition is common. Perfect, Kavisha. Very, very good. CG not an NPA. Central government, if overdue for more than 90 days, it will become so normal NPA provisioning. But in both, income recognition will start happening at accrual basis. So, should this 7 lakh be part of the interest income? No. So, they have become overdue for more than 6 months. So, we cannot add this in our income anymore. Okay. So what is the answer? Short-term crop loan, a crop loan guaranteed for short duration crops is classified as NPA only if the amount remains overdue for 2 crop seasons. In the given case, the installment is only overdue for one crop season. Hence, account is not an NPA. Therefore, income of rupees 5 lakhs can be recognized in financial statements. Advance guaranteed equally by Government of India and Government of Tamil Nadu. If an advance is guaranteed by central government, it need not be classified as NP unless guarantee is invoked and repudiated. The central government guaranteed advances where guarantee is not invoked or repudiated will be classified as standard asset but regarded as income for NPA for income recognition. The situation would be different if advance is guaranteed by state government where advance is to be considered NPA if it remains overdue for more than 90 days for both provisioning and income recognition. In the given case, since the guarantee is shared equally between central government and state government, the installment is overdue for more than 6 months. The portion of loan guaranteed by central government is not to be as NPA, and the remaining 50% guaranteed by state government must be 90 days. Everyone is clear? So again, very, very simple, straightforward. If you know bank audit, you can write any question. Okay. Next, Agreem, a CA student, is part of an engagement team conducting audit of Madurai branch of ARB Bank. CA Bhuvan is an engagement partner and has been asked to verify provisioning made by in respect, one second, in respect of the following non-performing assets You can see this. Just pay attention and see this point. AK Industry is which kind of an asset? AK Industry is doubtful asset, D1. So do you remember for D1 what provisioning is done? Let's go through the provisioning first. Remember it like this: 15, 25, 40, 100, 100. Okay? Remember like this: 15, 25, 40, 100, 100. 15 is for substandard. This is for D1, D2, D3, and this is loss asset. But if unsecured, then 100%. Okay? So if it is D1, how much provisioning should be done for this? 25%. So what is 25% of 10 lakh? What is 25% of 10 lakh? 2.5 lakh. But the provision made is 5 lakh. Is that correct? No. So this answer is, so bank has done this wrong provisioning. Then Jupiter Traders is substandard asset. You have to do, the outstanding is 50 lakhs. So you have to do 15% of 50 lakhs. So here it is 7.5 lakhs. So is it correct? Yes, this is correct. Okay. Next, VT and company is doubtful too. So how much provisioning should be done? 40% of 30 lakhs. 40% of 30 lakhs, which will be 12 lakhs. How much provisioning is done? 30 lakhs. So this is also wrong. ASD and Sons is loss asset. How much? 1 lakh. Full 100%. So this is correct. 100% provisioning. So how many are wrong? 2 are wrong. 2 are right. So the engagement partner has already verified the end. This is correct. So engagement partner has already verified this classification. Classification is correct. Outstanding amounts as on March 31st, 2024 relating to each NPA except ASD are fully secured. Okay. They are all secured also. However, only personal guarantee of proprietor is available in the account of ASD. Comment on the correctness of the above provisions. Agreem is in dilemma regarding classification of our above accounts as NPA, although they are fully secured and guaranteed. Guide him. So this first you will mention in exam all the major provisioning. You'll mention for substandards is 15%, for doubtful it is this much, 25, 40 and 100 and loss. So you'll mention that. Then you'll do all the calculation. AK Industries, this we have already finished. 7.5 lakhs for Jupiter. VT and company, it should be 12 lakhs. AST is loss asset, so 100% is correct. Now you tell me, even if loan is secured, why do we do provisioning? Because even if it's secured or not secured, whether how much is your net worth, the NPA is only on the basis of record of recovery. Okay. NPA classification is only on the basis of record of recovery. Whether security is there, whether net worth is there, it is not to be taken into account for the purpose of treating of advances as NPA. These accounts have been classified as NPA on the basis of recovery, although these are fully secured and guaranteed. Everyone clear? This is a very important question. This is fully revising your whole NPA. Okay? Fully revising your whole NPA part. All practical questions. Next, compute the drawing power of cash credit limit granted to S Limited by Trust Bank for the month of March 25 with the following information: value of stock, value of debtors including 5,000 for an invoice from 1711, value of creditors, sanction limit. Margin on stock is 20%, on debtors is 50%. Debtors older than 3% are ineligible. I'll give you 5 minutes for this. I want answers from all the students. Tell me what DP do you calculate. Tell me what drawing power you will calculate. I'm starting the timer on my phone now. It's exactly 9:09. I want the answer by 9:14 on your screen. Tell me what is the drawing power. Everyone has to do this exercise with me. So tell me, you have 5 minutes to calculate drawing power. I'll wait for 5 minutes. We have gotten one answer already. Waiting for others to reply. We have one answer already. Let's see. Good, Om. You are the first one to do it. Whether it's right or wrong, I'll let you know. Okay, second answer we have gotten from Kavisha. Just try to calculate, Mujahid. Whatever you know, you calculate. I'll explain later, but whatever knowledge you have already studied this. Now we are doing revision. So from whatever you studied previously, you do try to calculate. Then we'll discuss. Then we'll revise. First, try to calculate on your own. 2 more minutes. Last 2 more minutes, everyone. Kavya, Abhishek, Anil, Pooja, please try to reply. Try to give your answer. Last 2 minutes. Anil has also given his answer. Kavya has also given her answer. Mujahid has also given his answer. Last 1 minute. Pooja has also given her answer. Abhishek has also given her answer. Okay. So let's see. First thing, how to calculate this? What is the value of stock totally given? The stock value is given 50,000. Okay. So value is given as 50,000 rupees. Creditors. Think of creditors as unpaid stock. What are creditors actually? What are creditors actually? They're unpaid stock. Do you know for what reason cash credit is given? What is the reason for giving cash credit to someone? Cash credit limit is that I am putting my money for working capital, that is buying goods and manufacturing it. But it takes time for that goods to sell and for daters to pay me money. Yes or no? This is the purpose. So if I have not paid, which means creditors are there, then it is not money I have not spent. Okay. So whenever there is stock, you have to reduce the creditors from it. Creditors are nothing but unpaid stock. So reduce the creditors and then you get value of paid stock. Then how much margin is given? Stock margin is 20%, which means bank will not fully take 35,000. They will reduce 20% margin. So drawing power first becomes A is 28,000, part 1. Then part 2 days. How much is the value of data? 45,000. How many datas are more than 90 days? 5,000. So how much is the data? 40,000. How much margin is there for data? 25,000. So how much per part B? 20,000. What will be the total drawing power? 48,000. So the drawing power calculation, only calculation is correct by Kavya, Kavya has given correct answer. Kavisha has given correct answer. Om has given correct answer. Very good. Congratulations to three of you. To Kavisha, Kavya, and Om. All three of you have given correct answer. But Om has added a very good point. Om has said, but ma'am, sanction limit is only 45,000. So even if drawing power is 48,000, it cannot be more than sanction limit. So how much money can S Limited actually use? It can use only up to 45,000 rupees. Clear, everyone? So this is very, very important. So remember this. For DP calculation, you have to take stock minus creditors, which is basically sometimes it's called unpaid stock. Okay. Then you will get an amount. Then you have to reduce margin. And then you will get part A. Then for debtors, minus debtors greater than 90 days. And then minus margin. And you will get part B. So part A plus B is equal to your DP. And not more than sanction limit. Okay, everyone? So please remember again, this kind of question can come in exam. Okay. The sanction limit given in the question is 45,000, whereas drawing power is 48,000. Accordingly, directed to sanction limit of 45,000. That's it. Next question. You are the auditor of Plus Bank Limited. The bank has made following provisions for the year ended 31st March 2024. Provision for bad debt 66 crores, provision for substandard assets 78, provision for expenses 24, provision for income tax 55. You are in the process of verifying the provisions and contingency of the bank. What audit approach and procedure you will adopt? So this looks like a case study, but it is a direct theory answer. Third, calculation method. So how they compute standard assets and non-performing assets. It will primarily include checking the basis of calculations, classification of loans and advances into standard, substandard, doubtful, and non-performing. The auditor may verify the loan classification on sample basis. Why? Because if you have not classified correctly, then automatically provisions become wrong. So if something should not be a doubtful asset, D2, but I have put it as D2, but it should be loss asset. So if the classification is wrong, then automatically provisioning is wrong. So to see and audit provisioning, you also have to see whether classification is correct. Okay, so here you have to understand classification. Our top is compliance. Next, obtained detailed breakup of standard and non-performing loans and agree with the outstanding balances in the general ledger. So after second point, you have to see whether they are proper obtain the breakup plus agreement with books of accounts. Agreement with books of accounts is there or not. Next, obtain tax provisions computation. So there is not just bad debts and standard assets, there is also income tax. Okay. So if you want to see obtain tax provision computation from bank's management and verify the natures of item debited and credited to P&L to see that tax provision computation is correct. Examine other provisions for expenses. So we have checked these two. Now we are seeing expenses. We have checked income tax. So What do we check? Examine other provisions of expenses regarding warranting, provisioning, and adequacy of the same by discussing and obtaining explanation. So you can obtain written representations plus inquiry that why they have done provision on certain expenses, what is the logic behind it, which kind of expenses they are. Is that clear to everyone? So, for the audit of provisions and contingencies, you should ensure that the compliance for various regulatory requirements for provisioning is properly fulfilled. Then calculation and classification is properly done. Detailed breakup is there and it agrees with books of accounts. So 3 points are regarding um, loans. Then tax provision, you have to see whether they have properly debited and credited the P&L and calculated the tax provision correctly, and whether all the expenses are correctly put and correctly provisioned. Any doubt till now? So here we are done with the questions. Modes of creation of security, I'll explain definitely, Kavisha. So let's see at modes of creation of security. The first type of creation of security is mortgage. Okay. The first most important way of creating any security is mortgage. It is usually in the form of immovable assets. But in this, there are two types. There is registered mortgage and there is equitable mortgage. Okay. Registered mortgage is what? Registered mortgage is something in which the property, there is a registration done in the name of the mortgagee, which means the bank, and the name of the mortgagee, that is the bank, is registered in our title deeds. Okay. So the name is registered in the title deeds officially that this property is under the charge or has been mortgaged with SBI or Bank of Baroda. So it is registered. You go to the official office of the government and do that process. Whereas in equitable, there is mere delivery of documents. See, registered mortgage is a costly and time-taking process because you have to pay to the registrar office. You have to get the bank's name added in the title documents. So it's a very costly process. But what happens in equitable? So Kavisha, if you have come to ask for loan from me, I'll tell you, give me all your original documents. Okay? Give me all your original documents. I'll keep that documents. And by doing that, we are creating a equitable mortgage that because you don't have a document, you can't sell it. And let's make it in writing. So mere delivery of a document and let's do an agreement that you have delivered these documents to me and I have given this loan to you under this loan number and you will repay that loan to me. So equitable is a cheaper and faster form of doing mortgage. So there are two types of mortgage, registered mortgage and equitable mortgage. It creates a fixed charge. Next type is hypothecation. So it is usually on movable assets. Okay. In mortgage, the possession is with borrower. Okay, the possession is with borrower only. So if I give my home for mortgage, I can still live in that home. Let's talk about hypothecation. So hypothecation means it creates a sort of charge on stock debtors wherein possession is with borrower, as trustee or agent of bank. What does this mean? It means that you can sell the stock. So your stock is given as a security to the bank. Okay. You can sell the stock, but you are selling that stock on behalf of me. And whatever money you receive from selling of stock should first come to the account of OD or CC where you have taken money from me and clear my dues, which means the borrower can still hold and sell and acquire new stocks. You can still uh, uh, get your datas. You can do all that. Sorry, stock only, not datas. Okay, so you can do all that, but you are doing all this on my behalf, that is bank's behalf. You are only a trustee and agent of me. You can sell the stock, but you are selling it as my agent, and the money should be first received in the account you are maintaining with me. Okay, that is hypothecation. Next is pledge. Pledge is where possession is with bank. The most common example of this is gold. So whenever we take gold loan, we are giving the gold physically to the bank. That is called as pledge, where the possession of the security is with the bank. Usually in hypothecation and mortgage, the possession is with the borrower. But in case of pledge, the possession goes with the bank. Okay, this is another type. Next is assignment. Assignment means the future benefits of you know about bills discounted, right? What happens in bills discounted? So if there is a bills discounted of 10 lakh rupees, I go and discount the bill, bank gives me 9 lakh rupees, let's say. So what do? I assign that bill, which is the security, in the name of the bank, which means when the bill gets matured, who will get the money? I will get the money or bank will get the money? Bank will get the money. But am I paying it back? No, someone else is paying it. That's the difference. In all the above three, I am repaying the money. Okay. But in assignment, we are assigning benefits of something to the bank, which means that thing will get redeemed and the benefits of that will come to the bank. Same way, if I have taken loan from LIC, okay? If I have taken loan on my LIC, so I have given my LIC as security to the bank, I can assign that whenever the LIC matures, the money can come to the bank and that can pay off my loan. So that is called as assignment style of security, where the benefits will be received by the bank, like in bills discounted, like in LIC. Next type is set off. Set off means bank has a statutory right. Bank has a statutory right that suppose if A has a savings account and also a home loan account, has a savings account or a home loan account. So if home loan account becomes overdue, and if I have savings in same bank, can bank, in savings I have 10 lakh rupees. Can bank debit money or take money for my overdue from my savings account? Yes. So your savings account is a default security that is available to the bank. Okay. So that is called as set off style of security, in which bank has the right to set off the overdues to them if they already have another account in which there are credits. Next type is lien. Lien means right to seize and dispose. Okay. Or keep in custody. So generally, even if you have mortgage, even if you have stock, bank has a right to lien. So it's a type of security right they have, that they can seize it if you don't pay it. They can keep it in their custody and they can dispose it off. Clear, Kavisha? So these are the types of modes of creation: mortgage, hypothecation, pledge, assignment, set off, and lien. Anyone else has any other doubt? Everything is done from my side. No problem, Kavisha. It's absolutely all right. Anyone else has any other question? I'll be here for another 1 minute. If you have any other question, you can ask me, else we'll end the class. No, ma'am. Okay. Clear. All right. Okay. difference between out of order and overdue. So it is the same thing only, Kavisha. There is no, overdue is not the right word. Even in out of order, you have not paid for 90 days, right? But it is because of the difference of the way loan is given. So whenever we give any term loan can be your housing loan, car loan, machinery loan, okay, education loan. All these are EMI based, which means if you miss your EMI, that is overdue for more than 90 days, then it becomes NPA. But you cannot use the word out of order for them. What happens in CC? There is no actual giving of full money. So if I have given you CC of 10 lakhs, it's possible that you have used only 1 lakh out of it. It's possible you have used only 50,000 of it. It's possible that in April month you used a lot, in October month you didn't use a lot. So in CC, the point is it should be continuously used. And when it is not continuously used, it becomes out of order. So we don't have EMI here. Na? In CC, we don't have EMI. That is why we are not able to calculate overdue of 90 days. So we use other methods to decide whether a CC account became out of order. Everyone clear, Kavisha? So we use other criteria to decide how a CC account becomes NPA because there is no EMI. Then how do we decide when a CC account becomes NPA? When there are no credits for 90 days, like that. Anyone, anything else? Okay, I don't see any other questions now. All right, so I hope you enjoyed the class today. We learned a lot of things. We did a lot of new calculations. We did a lot of practical and theory questions, and we have covered in very, very detailed way. So I'll see you in the next class now. Technical team, we can end the class.